Hello again, I am Blunty. You often get people complaining that the world is getting too woke and PC has gone out of control. And it's not really a new concept. It's been sort of the last couple of decades. You go back to the 80s, you'll find comedians complaining and whining about, political correctness gone out of control, which political correctness is the old way of saying woke or wokeness. There's nothing new under the sun when it comes to this stuff. It's an ongoing thing and has been, well, for all of my life as far as I can remember. And I've got grey in my beard, so that's been a while. The only difference now is because of the internet and because of what the internet is today, this is what it was way back when, a lot has changed about how easy it is to hear the voices of marginalized people who used to have just no way of being heard or seen in any useful way. They were suppressed, they were othered, they were shoved to the side. But now, more than ever before in human history, we all have a chance to be heard through this medium. And that has led some people to think the world is getting more woke. It's not. You're just hearing about it more. These people have always been here, always fighting for their rights to be treated like people. That's all I want, by the way. These people want to be treated like people, just like you want to be treated. All they're asking for is that. Nothing more. On the flip side of that, it's also easier than ever before to hear the inane ramblings of lunatic conspiracy theorists. So take the good with the bad on that one. Also, it's easier than ever to fall into a nice little echo chamber for some people who, they fall in these little spaces, these little isolated spaces online where all they hear is their own opinion echoed back at them. They're never challenged, they're never questioned, they're never forced to think outside of their own little box that they want to live in, whatever that is. And yesterday I came across an article about Hogwarts Legacy, an upcoming RPG game based around J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter stuff and things. It's not coming out till next year, but the article was mentioning a lot of, Potter fans. Is there a name for Potter fans? Potterverse people? I feel like there is a fandom name, but I've forgotten it. Help me out in the down below. But the article was talking about how a lot of them are hopeful and eager that the upcoming Game Awards in December will be their next chance to get a look at how the game is going, because we haven't seen anything about it really. There was a teaser trailer and some information that it's coming and who it's coming from and things like that, but nothing with any substance. So fingers crossed we maybe get some gameplay or an extended trailer or more information or a dev interview or something, anything. They're hoping for more information about this game they're very excited about, because playing a game where you just get to be part of Hogwarts and run about doing your little wizard kid things, it sounds like it should be a lot of fun. So I was talking about this with a mate of mine, and they asked me, well, are you still having an issue with getting the game? I would like to play the game. It sounds like fun. But on the other side of things, J.K. Rowling still owns the Harry Potter stuff because, well, she created it. And I have a bit of an issue with J.K. Rowling and her political leanings and the kind of horrible things she says and does under the guise of other things. She said, look, I'm not going to go through the whole J.K. Rowling thing. I am going to link you to a very good video, or even maybe 2 or 3 videos done by another YouTuber called Jessie Gender down there, who has broken down this whole J.K. Rowling thing in a very sensitive and thoughtful way. And not just gone, brah, turf, brah, transphobia, blah. But the point is, I'm personally having issues with justifying wanting to buy the game versus wanting to put money in the pocket of J.K. Rowling. Now, when this game was first announced, it was live on stream. When we first saw it on the E3 stream or whatever it was, I was live streaming that event. And I was talking to my chat room about it. I said, well, how do I justify this? I know. Here's a thought. I will donate the price of the game towards a trans positive charity or support structure or something like that to try and even out the scales of karma a little bit. That's the best I could think of. If I want to compromise my moral compass, balance it out the other way. Sounds fair enough, right? But talking about this with my mate reminded me of something I saw posted from Wil Wheaton the other day. Well, reposted. They posted it on his Facebook page, and I don't use Facebook because, again, one of those moral stand things. But it was cross-posted somewhere else, and it's incredibly relevant to this because it's talking about enjoying the art that we love after finding out that the people responsible for making it, or at least one person responsible for making it, is a horrible human being who we don't want to support or condone in any way. And this was triggered by a question asked of Will on Tumblr. Apparently Tumblr still exists. Who knew? I'll read you the question first. I have more of an opinion question for you. When fans hear about misconduct happening on sets / behind the scenes, are they allowed to still enjoy the thing? Or should it be boycotted, cancelled, completely? For example, I've been a major fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, me too, since I was a teenager, and it was currently airing. I really nerded out on it, and I lost my dad at age 16, so the body episode had me in such cathartic tears, and I can relate to that because that is an incredibly moving episode, one of the best episodes of TV ever done, by the way. But the question continues. Now that we know about Joss Whedon, I haven't rewatched a single episode since his behaviour came to light. And if you don't know what's going on with Joss Whedon, Google's over that way. As a fan, do I respectfully just have to box that away? Is it disrespectful to the actors that went through it, Joss Whedon's abusive crap, to knowingly keep watching? And it's a fair question. Joss Whedon, turns out, huge dickhead, massive arsehole. Does that mean we have to just not watch Buffy anymore? Is that disrespectful to everyone else who worked on the show? So to answer this, Wil Wheaton, and for those of you who don't know who Wil Wheaton is, Wesley Crusher on Star Trek, amongst other things, but best known for Wesley Crusher. He answered like this. I've been precisely where you are right now. In fact, we have just been talking about this a few days ago as it relates to a guy who wrote a ton of music that was profound to me when I was a teenager. He wrote about being lonely and feeling unloved and all the things I was feeling as a teenager. Super unique teenagehood there, Will. Feeling lonely and unloved. Well, none of us go through that. Turns out that the person who made this music grew up to be a reprehensible bigot, and for years I couldn't listen to one of the most important bands in my life anymore. I have the same thing going on with several sort of TV shows, movies, music, even a couple of comic books. I always feel really awkward when I go back to those things because, well, the person who made them is ew. Will continues. This week, someone pointed out that he was one member of a group that all worked together to make that thing that was so important to me, and the person he was when he wrote those lyrics is not the person he is today, and the person I was when I heard those lyrics doesn't deserve to be shoved into a box and put away because that guy is shit. This is a long way of saying that Josh sure turned out to be garbage, because of who my friends are. Wil Wheaton, the actor, Hollywood celebrity. I know stuff that isn't in the public, and it's pretty horrible. He's just not a good person, and apparently never was a good person. But Buffy is more than just him. It's all the actors and crew who made it. It's all the writers who aren't Joss. Joss is part of it, sure. Some of the episodes he wrote are terrific. At least one of the episodes he wrote was deeply meaningful to you, and at a moment in your life when you'd experienced loss, I can only imagine the person you are now and the 16-year-old you were who just lost their dad are more important than the piece of shit Joss Whedon revealed himself to be. It's one of the reasons I love Wil Wheaton. He doesn't mince words. He says what he means to say. In fact, the only rule on my Twitch chat is what's called Whedon's Law. It was coined many years ago when someone quoted Wil Wheaton as just, how do you be a good person? Well, don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick. That's Whedon's Law. That's the one rule I have in my Twitch chat. Will continues. I can't speak for the other actors, even the ones I know, but I will tell you, as an abuse survivor myself, who never wanted to be in front of the camera when he was a kid, it's really okay to enjoy the work. The work is good and meaningful, and if nobody is going to watch it because of what one piece of shit did 2 decades ago, what was it all for? That's an interesting question. I'm not the Pope of Chilitown, so take this for what it's worth. I believe that when some piece of art is deeply meaningful to a person for whatever reason, that art doesn't belong to the person who created it, if it ever did. It belongs to the person who found something meaningful in the art. And this is something I believe as well. If a piece of art touches you, from that moment on, it belongs to you in that context with that meaning, and nobody anywhere can ever take that away from you. Will continues, if it feels right to you to put it away and never look at it again, that's totally valid. But if it brings you comfort or joy or healing or just warm familiarity to bring it out and spend some time with it, that's totally valid too. I've written a lot of words. I hope some of them make sense and are helpful to you. So Wil Wheaton offers up a framework for thinking about this. Not a dedicated answer. Yes, it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's art. It's always going to be subjective. And the question of whether or not it's valid or okay, legitimate to separate the art from the artist is one of those philosophical things that has been ongoing in human history, well, since we had art, pretty much. But what I want to narrow down at the end of this is there's a difference between enjoying, say, Buffy, for example. And you know, if you're watching your old DVDs, you know, Joss Whedon isn't getting any more money every time you rewatch the DVDs. If you watch it streaming, perhaps you get some subsidiaries from that or whatever. Subsidiaries? Residuals. What's the word? Residuals, right? But, you know, if you're just rewatching your DVDs, I'm not putting any extra money in the pocket, just enjoying something that is meaningful to me and trying my best to separate it from the dickwad that is Joss Whedon and what he did to the people in that show. But then we circle back to the question I started the video with, Hogwarts Legacy. This isn't old media. It's not something that was meaningful to me. It's something that I'm hoping to enjoy. And is it okay to spend money on that? And how do I separate that from JK? Now, JK isn't directly involved in the making of the game. She's not writing it. She's not like a producer on it. You know, it's just the game, you know, publisher has licensed the stuff from her. So it's not her work, it's based on her work, but she is still getting paid for it. Make no mistake. There will be licensing money and you know, probably residuals and whatever flowing back into her pockets. The more popular this game is, the better it sells, the more money she gets. And separating that, you know, art as it happens versus art in the past, that's a different question altogether as well. And like I said, the only way I can make it feel morally right for me to actually buy the game in the first place is to, you know, make a donation to an appropriate charity that is the exact opposite of what she's trying to do to people. But is that enough to separate the morality of this? Am I compromising my moral stand on what I believe, which is what versus what JK believes, just so I can play a video game? Is that all right? Is that valid? Is that going to make me feel gross about the whole thing? I don't know. It's muddy water as far as I'm concerned. How do you guys feel about it? Thank you for watching. I am Blunty. Hopefully this has given you something to chew on. Thank you to Wil Wheaton, who's always, well, not always thoughtful, but usually quite thoughtful and useful. Love you, Will. Shut up, Wesley. Thanks to the patrons. You can't really mention Wil Wheaton anywhere without saying shut up, Wesley once, right? Is that another internet rule? Is that Wesley's rule?
But shut up, Wesley.
Whedon's law, Wesley's law. Shut up, Wesley. Thanks for watching. I'm Blunty. We'll catch you next time.